Chapter 5. The Lesson. The days at sea were crisp and lined with every shade of blue and white. As La Trinity sailed across the open water, her chilled deck bounced with the echoes of pike spear and shield. It was battle practice, with Marcel against Tristan, two warriors in the making, training with their shirts off, even in the cold. The sergeant kept busy coaching from the sidelines, and he certainly had his work cut out for him.
"You've been living in luxury, Marcel."
Marcel barred an incoming jab from Tristan's pike. Luxury? He gulped up a lungful of Atlantic breeze. What do you mean, luxury?
"It's a luxury to shoot your enemies from a safe distance," said the sergeant. "But it's a luxury you won't always have. Eventually, arrows run out."
Marcel's weapon got knocked from his grip, making way for the blunt end of Tristan's pike. Whop! A hit to the shoulder. The boy rolled his arm, ignoring the pain. It was just a little hit from a practice spear after all.
"And so you must always be prepared for a fight face to face," said the sergeant. "Again!"
The boys were flushed red in the frigid air. It was cold, but invigorating. Tristan banged his shield with his pike, taunting his opponent for another hit. Marcel exhaled into his palms and shook off an icy tingle at his neck. He picked up his fallen spear from the wooden deck and retook his stance, and the two went at it again. It was hard work training under the sergeant, but good entertainment for everyone else. Knowing they had an audience, the boys didn't shy away from giving each other as many aches and bruises as possible. Hit after hit, the sergeant was convinced the progress was remarkable. Little did he know, the boys were just making a show of themselves, seeing what reactions they could get from any onlooking sailor or soldier. A break came in the sparring lesson. The boys were taking turns at the water bucket, dipping in the long-handled cup when René came up beside them. "Marcel, a word in private." The boy sipped his cool drink and wiped the sweat from his brow. "Oui, Commander." He followed René to the ship's bow. "Captain Ribault and I have been discussing that doubloon you brought aboard," said René. "The one you found on Bayard's body." "What do you make of it?" Marcel stood up on the railing and found a seat in a web of rope. "Ribault thinks it's something big." René brushed off a barrel and plopped down. "If the likes of Bayard could acquire that kind of Spanish gold, it can only mean there's a greater power at work against us. Bigger than we could have ever expected." "You said it yourself," said Marcel. "The king has been playing both sides. He was probably the one behind the attack." "No," said René. "I don't think 11-year-old King Charles was behind the attack. I think he knew about it, but the only part he played was to look the other way." "So who paid off the Knights of the Road, then?" "We can't know for sure, but Captain Ribault thinks Spain had something to do with it." "But aren't France and Spain at peace right now?" "They are indeed," said René, "which might be why they've been working together so splendidly against us. To a pair of Catholic kingdoms, we Huguenots, or any Protestants for that matter, are nothing more than a band of heretics. They call us that because we've chosen to stop fearing man and his church, and his Inquisition, and put fear back where it belongs, in fearing Papa God alone. That's all the reason they'll ever need to try to take us out." "So why didn't they just do it themselves? I mean, why bother going through Bayard at all?" "King Charles can't just come outright and persecute us," said René. "After all, we're his own subjects, and it's out of the question for Spain to invade French soil just to get to the likes of us. But now that we've left the safety of France, Spain won't be needing to pay anyone to do their dirty work anymore. Now they can do it themselves." "Then we best be ready for him," said Marcel, full of a boy's courage, the kind that has no room for the worries of a man. "I've no doubt about that," René smiled. "At least when it comes to you, anyway. But listen, there's something else. From here on out, I'm not going to be able to look out for you anymore, the way I have. You see, the moment you stepped out of my house in France and came aboard this adventure, it was the moment you were no longer my ward." "Is this your way of getting rid of me, Commander?" Marcel laughed, though he wasn't sure why, as there was nothing funny about losing the only father figure he ever had. No, said René. This is my way of helping you become a man in this strange world we call life. That's what you want, isn't it? To be a man? Marcel looked out over the water. That's what I've always wanted. But there was a lonely twist in his stomach. Being a man doesn't mean you have to do everything alone, you know. Things might look different between us, but I'm still here for you if you ever need me, or even if you just want to talk. You don't have to say that just because you're feeling sorry for me, Commander. Now, where did you get that idea? The boy answered with a shrug, hiding the fact that Baird's words were rattling around in his head. They're not your friends, Marcel. They probably just feel sorry for you. You're nothing more than a stray pup in their eyes. But René's voice broke through the fog. When I brought you home to live with me, Marcel, it wasn't out of charity. It wasn't even because it was the right thing to do. I did it because I liked you. And I wanted to be there with you when you made yourself into something great. And I wanted to help you do it. But the more I've gotten to know you, the more I've realized you already are. Already what? You already are great. You really mean that, Commander? Marcel held back a tear or two, choosing instead to fidget with a callus on his hand. Or are you just saying that? Have I ever once said anything to you I didn't mean? Marcel thought about it and shook his head with a smile. You know, I liked you from the beginning, too. You were the first person I ever met I could actually trust. You'll never know how much that meant to me, when I knew you were someone safe. But I understand if things have to be different now. I do. You're a commander, and I'm if you're saying you want to keep being part of my life, then I'll trust you mean what you say. The boy jumped out of the ropes, thudding to the deck in front of René. And I'd like to say something to you, too. Something I don't think I ever told you before. Merci beaucoup. For everything. He stretched out his hand as René caught it in his own, and they shook, tighter than a fisherman's knot. Tristan came sprinting up the ship's bow, interrupting the moment. Hey, Marcel, you ready to get back to practice or what? Oh, pardon me, Commander, I didn't see you. The boy saluted. That's all right, Cadet. You're just who I wanted to see next. Me, Commander? Well, both of you, actually. Now come close. They huddled up and linked their arms, making a fort out of their 3 heads bumped in together. There may be danger yet of Spain on our tail. There is also the question of the natives we're about to meet, and what they'll do when they first see us. The fact is, we don't know what exactly we're up against in Florida, but I'll tell you this. They are the smallest of worries compared to one other. These adventures, he whispered, they attract a certain sort. Marcel swapped a puzzled look with Tristan, who shared in the raising of an eyebrow. What sort, Commander? The worst sort, said René. Men who love dreams above all else, and they'll do anything for those dreams. This is the real danger. I didn't think having a dream was a bad thing, said Tristan. Never is at first. René broke the huddle and sighed, peering up to the clear sky above. But there's our will, he pointed up, and then there's his. Men who love dreams don't take it kindly when Papa God changes their course. Marcel hiked up his shoulders. Who would? That depends on you and Papa God, said René, and he walked the boys back down to the sergeant. When things start heading south, defeat's around the corner, and you've no escape. You'll each have to ask yourselves what you believe about him, if you still believe he's good. Your answer will either move mountains or bury you beneath them. But no more about this for now. Don't get yourself killed with the dreamers is all. Now back to your training. The boys saluted. Oui, Commander. René chuckled under his breath as he returned their salutes and found it hard to keep the laugh down quietly. Tristan scratched his forehead. We do something funny, Commander? It just struck me, said René. Maybe for the first time. How much you two saluting looks like children at play. Youngsters just pretending to take orders. The more I think about it, the more it all feels absurd. René then cleared his throat as his smile vanished to something a little more serious, and he placed a hand on each of their shoulders. But that's not the truth of it, now is it, boys? No, you've each got the old Norse blood in you, Viking in your veins, as Captain Ribault would say, and I can't wait to see the kind of men you'll become. Merci, Commander, said the boys. The sergeant welcomed them back with a nod as the pair picked up their weapons and made ready. Tristan gave his pike spear a twirl. Marcel gave back a sly grin. They both bent their knees and prepared to strike, and again the cold deck resounded with the echoes of two warriors in the making.